We just had our last Div Cup finals before Globals, and it did not disappoint. We got to see who is better, Peterbot or Epic Whale off spawn, and man, Pete absolutely dominated. We got to see the rematch between Frodoxy and Tasted, and it did not go how a lot of people were expecting, but despite Pete's domination off spawn, he wasn't able to actually win the last tournament. We might have a new front runner team on NA. Honestly, across the board, this was one of the most exciting finals I've ever watched, and I can't believe I'm saying that yet again. There's a lot to talk about. Let's jump into it. You already know we're going to kick off with NA. EU is exciting, but man, NA putting on the fireworks. This was such an exciting finals right before Global. So in first place, we had Rapid, Khanada, and Bolts on 460 points, playing 6 matches, winning 2 of them. But look at the placements. 12 Elim second, 11 Elim second, 6 Elim fifth, 7 Elim win, 7 Elim win, 3 Elim fourth. You're thinking with that match history, it's over. Aussie, what do you mean it was an exciting tournament? With that match history, how could it have been an exciting tournament? You already know. Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual giving Khanada's team a run for their money, even with that match history, but with only 5 games played. Pete, Cold, and Ritual, well contested, 6 games out of 6, not loading into one of them, still managed to almost win the tournament. They got a 14 Elim 4th, 20 Elim win, 13 Elim 3rd, 14 Elim 4th, and a 4 Elim 11th. The last game being their worst game because Peterbot's team tried to key Khanada in the rotating zones. Now, this last game was where everything started to happen. It's where sparks started to fly because we had Aegis, Acorn, and Poyo also in 3rd place. And Acorn's team normally are on the receiving end of Peterbot's aggression, trying to take him out of the tournament. Poyo, Aegis, Acorn thought, you know, we're going to take it to Peterbot for once. We're going to W key Pete, try and take him down, then take down Khanada. Now, there was a little bit of an issue with this though, because Peterbot was contested off spawn. It was really awkward with how the spawn fight was playing out. Epic Whale's team actually put up their best showing in game 6, taking down 2 of them, only leaving 1 player standing, and everyone converged on the POI to try to figure out what was going on. Khanada's team came flying in. They tried to fight. Basically, everyone got stuck in this massive fight trying to grief Peterbot. But then Peterbot slipped out the back door. Pete, Cold, and Ritual just disengaged out the back, rotated away, and then Acorn's team was left fighting Sale's team, and Khanada ended up having one of his players go down. It was just absolutely ridiculous in Game 6, and it's what's making me so excited to watch Globals right now, because there's been a bit of a mentality shift over the last year or so, I would say. Back in the day, teams in the top 3 would be very, very unlikely to actually key each other and try and make aggressive plays to take them out of the tournament. And I guess it is honestly fair to call it the Peterbot effect at this point. Pete's kind of coming with a different mentality of if you ain't first, you're last, and W keying people in front of you is just normal gameplay to win the tournament. And when people do it to Pete, in all fairness, he doesn't complain because Pete's done it to a lot of other people, but you have to pull it off when you do it. It ended up playing out fantastically for Peterbot, but Khanada, Rapid, and Bolts managed to clutch up. They had a phenomenal last game when Peterbot got the chance to try to take them down on rotating zones in Game 6. It all fell apart. They went down earlier, and Khanada Bolts managed to stumble through with a 3 Elim 4th in the last game to win it. It was also fantastic for Clicks, Higgs, and Yomzo, who were outside the top 3 for the whole tournament. And in that very last game, because Acorn's team put so much emphasis on trying to take down Peterbot and then Khanada to win the tournament, it dropped them from 3rd down into 4th. Clicks, Higgs, and Yomzo getting a 7 Elim 3rd were able to sneak back up. And Clicks, Higgs, and Yomzo's finish the tournament for placement was insane. They started off with an 11th, not a bad game, but their worst game. Then they got a 6th, 3rd, 4th, 3rd, and 3rd. Just ridiculous finish from Clicks' team. But again, they're lacking the elims. That match history would hold up extremely well in EU or pretty much any other region but NA right now. But on NA, you got to drop the placement and the elims. Khanada won with 46 elims in 6 games and an average placement of 2.5. Pete, Cold, and Ritual had 65 elims and an average placement of 4.6, but again, they were missing that 6th game. The caliber of the teams coming out of NA right now is so unbelievably exciting coming into Globals. Again, we've always kind of focused on, at least out of the top 10, mostly the EU teams, because over the last few lands, EU has been most of the top 10. Again, NA fans, I hear you. They've been won by NA. I understand. Don't hit the comments flaming me just yet. But NA's finest right now, the top teams on NA are looking like they're on a different level coming into this Globals. It's very, very exciting to see how it plays out at Globals. And again, Ritual, Cold, Peterbot managing to win 5 of the 5 games they made it into the game off spawn against Epic Whale. Epic Whale's team, unfortunately, having a shocker of a tournament. They managed to get 6 points in the 6 games. Which means, yes, the first game where Peterbot didn't load in, they got the queen spawn and they still unfortunately got a 0-point game. So I've been talking about how I thought Epic Whale's team was going to stay and Asia was going to leave. After watching this tournament, I'm not so sure. I mean, it's hard to bounce back from the performance that Peterbot put on. They just really did beat them and beat them easily. Like, honestly, I feel bad saying it, but Pete, Cole, and Ritual were by far the better team on the day. I love Epic, Whale, Paper, and Victor V. They're 3 phenomenal players, but I think spawn fighting might just not be their strength, or maybe it's just Pete is that good off spawn, but there wasn't really any game where it looked like they could beat them. Maybe game 6, it looked like they were going to potentially close it out. Epic Whale was locked in the 1v1. He hit the revolver shot, he hit the stair, didn't do a lot of damage to the player, just missed the shot and went down. Whale was very close to taking them out, but even if he took them down, he would have been a solo getting W keyed in third party. They still would have ended up getting almost no points. So at this point, I don't know whether Epic Whale will stay. As far as the Asia team, if they were watching this finals, I've got to think they're having second thoughts about maybe dropping there. But at this point, if only one team drops there, it looks like Pete might just be able to win globals well contested. I thought Dystopia City was going to be a really long, drawn-out spawn fight. My prediction coming into spawn fight, I told you guys yesterday, I was saying Pete was going to win 3 of them. I thought Epic Whale was going to win 1 of them, and then 2 games would be like an awkward, like, split, disengage, run away with the loot, you know, stagger the fight out. No. It looks like there is no splitting Dystopia. You have to land on the main buildings, you have to fight, and Peterbot's team can play aggressive and close out the fight pretty quickly if they get better drops. So I'm very, very excited to watch this spawn fight play out on LAN, because it's gonna be a big one. Looking at the rest of our LAN teams, we had Reet, Cooper, and Curly in 9th place. They tweeted out that they were feeling good for globals now. They learned a bunch today, and Reet also announcing his new org, Jogo, and probably confused on what's Jogo. It's Typical Gamers creative team, you know, Typical Gamers like Red Blue Map and a bunch of really successful creative maps he's put out with his team. I guess they're now sponsoring competitive players. It's a cool way to advertise their brand at globals, I guess. I mean, the players are getting paid. I trust TG, you know, knows what he's doing, and he runs a very successful company, and he loves playing competitive. So I guess it's a match made in heaven, and Reet gets a salary. It makes sense, I guess. Then we had Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx in 10th place overall. We had Visuals, Braze, and Aminished in 12th. We had some other big performances, but for the most part, at the very top, again, NA really did bring it home. Barker, Pars, and Pump, though, unfortunately, NA West coming in 30th overall. They did only play 4 matches, and then they stopped to then go play NA West finals, and then Victor V, Whale, and Paper. Credit to them. They had West finals they could have played, and they ended up playing out all the rest of their games. They went all 6 games on spawn, trying to do their best, but it did look like a rough tournament. Moving on over to EU, we had another very big spawn fight to talk about. Pete vs. Whale on NA was always going to be the storyline, but on EU, we got the rematch of Fredoxy versus Tayson. Now, remember, last time, Tayson took down Fredoxy 5-0, and Fred didn't load into one of the games. A lot of people saying that Fred's a fraud, he's not the off-spawn king, terrible, he's washed, and Fred backed up his statement. Fred was saying on social media, hey, we had an off tournament. I was really tired. I've been streaming a whole bunch. I just really wasn't that locked in. Don't worry, we'll get him next time. And obviously, again, it's Twitter. Everyone went super toxic. You're a fraud. You're terrible coping. Fred proved it. He went 5-1 against Tayson in the finals. They ended up losing 1 game off spawn, but they managed to get their 5 wins off spawn back, which does go to show a little bit that you can't write off someone's history just because of 1 bad tournament. This happened a lot with Peterbot versus Poyo, but again, there was even more going into it than that. But Fredoxy's been the off spawn king for a while now. A lot of teams respecting him. He has 1 bad tournament. Everyone turned on him, and he proved that you can just have 1 bad tournament. Now, Tayson did take to social media to vent his frustration on getting the loot from the chest, talking about, you know, macros and people using improved scroll wheels and all that stuff that you guys have already heard before. But again, it was roles reversed for Oxy's team the first time they fought, talking about how when you open a chest you should get the guns instantly out because they weren't getting any of the guns. So it's just, it continues that same narrative discussion around macroing and whether, you know, it's cheating and you should get banned for it and zero ping's not fair and all of that. But overall, across the board, Chino, Pablo, and Fredoxy played phenomenal. They did win 5-1, but they didn't go on to have the best tournament. I was talking to Fredoxy about this. He managed to watch NA with me, and I got his insights, and he said, look, we only cared about the off-spawn fight. We weren't really locked in on the end games, which does scare me a little bit, because Fredoxy then went on to talk about how he just doesn't feel that experienced or comfortable with crash pad rotates right now, which, you know, lands this weekend, bro. Like, it's Saturday, so we really kind of got to lock in and figure that out. But they did come 12th overall, but phenomenal spawn fight from Tayson. Again, I'm very excited to see how that one plays out for LAN. I'm not as confident in Tayson or Fredoxy to then go on and potentially win globals if they do dominate off spawn and, you know, manage to win like 9 out of 12, like we've just seen the Peterbot could potentially do. But it's still going to be a really, really fun spawn fight to watch. As As for the actual leaderboard, we have our LAN teams showing up big at the top of the leaderboard, just like NA. We have Vico, Veno, Flixie coming in first on 355 points, playing 6 matches, winning 1 of them, and it was a 15 elim win, which actually prompted Veno to tweet out how bad EU as a region are. And again, I'm talking about how much NA looks like they're firing on all cylinders coming into LAN. There's quite a few EU teams expressing that they don't think EU is looking that hot coming into LAN. Again, I got Phenoxy's thoughts on it. He was saying, look, Veno has been playing super inconsistent. Queasy's been really inconsistent. Vixie's playing, Vanya's playing terrible with Pixie. We're playing terrible off spawn. Tace is playing terrible. Like, EU right now is dudding LAN, and I don't know if that's going to be the case. I think when they get to globals, it'll look a little bit different. I think the EU teams are starting to hit their stride a little bit now. Vico, Veno, Flixie are looking very, very solid. They did bring it back in the second half of the tournament. They came out with a good 3 elim 6, not bad, but then a 3 elim 15th, but then they bounced back. 6 elim 3rd, 6 elim 8th, 15 elim win, and then an 8 elim 4th to close it out to manage to beat out Combeck, Shark, and Blaha. Again, not a LAN qualified team. I hate having to say this. They came so close last season. They really should be at LAN, showing how good their performances are, but they did crumble under the pressure a little bit. It was a 13th and 15th in their last 2 games that saw them drop down the leaderboard and gave Veno the chance to overtake them. I drop Hari and Cammy, very, very consistent. Again, they started really strong, got an 8 elim 2nd and a 9 elim win in their first 2 games, then got a 1 elim 8th, but then they got a 22nd, 9th, and 12th, which did drop them down again. Dexy, Kashi, and Firent, super underrated team, getting 2 wins out of 6, and then another LAN team, Pix, Dam, and Damers, just beating out Chap, Savage, and Rezon. Now, again, not terrible placements from our LAN teams. Again, not the insane, 400, almost 500 point performances we're seeing on NA, but we never really see that on EU, so I'm not surprised we didn't see that here. We had Swizzy, Queasy, Mustache get another top 10, so not quite the win, but showing why, again, Phenoxy's talking about them being so inconsistent. Focus, Mix, and Upple came 11th overall, and I know I talked in my video about how they might be going Foxy Floodgate. They ended up actually going back and contesting Shogun, so if that theory was out there, it looks like that's been squashed now. I don't think Focus is trying to switch their drop spot, but EU Finals was extremely fun to watch. Pingwox Malabuka getting 21st overall. I want to see this team do well. I want to predict them to get a top 10 so badly. It feels like they have the potential. On paper, they're a phenomenal team, but their off-spawn fighting has let them down. They got contested, surprise conned in the finals. They made it off-spawn the first game, got a 9 elim 5th, and then after that, it just went downhill. And I feel like if they keep having performances like this, someone is going to contest them at globals. If they're unconned, I do believe they can pull off a big performance, but they're really, really doing a poor job of making themselves look strong off-spawn to have people not contest them. Another team, I have zero clue how they're this far down the leaderboard. Vanya, Pixie, and Marius only playing 5 games, but ending in 24th overall with uncontested OXR. And then our last LAN team, obviously Frisk, Chicho, and Tayson going down 5 times off spawn, but the one game they made it off, they did get a 6 elim 4th. Now, I know you guys keep hounding me for my predictions on globals, and don't worry, I'm gonna do them. This globals is so hard to predict, but I'm gonna put myself out there. I'm gonna try and do the predictions and see how we go, but I'm recording this video. I've got 2 hours to pack my bags, head to the airport, and I've got a 26-hour trip to get to France for globals, and then I'm making content there for the rest of the week. I don't think I've even talked about it on YouTube yet, but I've actually partnered with Epic. I am the official behind-the-scenes coverage of the Global Championship. I'm gonna have a setup in the player room with access to all the players, making a bunch of sick content. So I'm either gonna do some kind of like a prediction list with them potentially, or if I can't do it with them, I will film one on my own channel. I just want to post it a little bit closer to globals, maybe like a few days out, so it's at least as accurate as possible. Because if I made my list before today's finals, it would look completely different afterwards now. Like, it's really, really hard to predict, and I want to try and at least get it as accurate as possible. So I'm sorry, I haven't done that yet, but trust me, I promise you I'm going to be doing it. Now, this is not competitive Fortnite related at all, but I need to talk about Steal the Brain Rot. And I can't believe I'm doing this, but we just had Fortnite push a creative map update through Fortnite. They were promoting the update for Steal the Brain Rot creative map in the news tab and on all their social media platforms. And it led to Steal the Brain Rot getting over 400,000 players, absolutely dominating every single other game mode in Fortnite, including Battle Royale, Ranked Battle Royale, Reload, Ranked Reload. All of them combined pretty much equaled Steal the Brain Rot. And this is just ridiculous. I'm hearing a lot of people having mixed thoughts on this, but I get it from Fortnite. I mean, like, their social media is there to promote their game. These are people still playing their game and generating money. Yes, that money is then given back to the creators of Steal the Brain Rot, but obviously they're trying to make a big push right now to try to compete with Roblox and the nightmare of whatever is happening over at Roblox right now. I'm just very happy. I'm a Fortnite content creator, but things are getting insane and a lot of people are really upset about it. But I mean, Yes, they could be promoting Fortnite competitive a bit more, and I wish, you know, they were putting a bit more effort and time into the game, but at the end of the day, I don't know if putting more emphasis on the Div Cup would have generated 500,000 players potentially. So maybe, I mean, I'd like to think so, but it is just absolutely insane that Steal the Brain Rot is the biggest thing to happen to Fortnite this season. Seeing a noticeable, significant jump in the player base because a creative map is dropping an update. Now, while I'd like to tell you that my creative map has 400,000 players, it doesn't, but it is doing extremely well. I just launched a duo late game map that you guys can jump on to practice your end game mechanics with the lowest input delay possible and play with your friends and try to practice for the upcoming duo cash cups. If you want to check it out, search up Aussie and Fortnite or tournament late game duos. I'll put the code in the link down below. You guys are gassing it up so much, and I really, really appreciate the support. Thank you so much.